Hello and welcome to Your Brain on Tech, your source for everything you love, from technology to gadgets, the world of gaming, and the internet. I'm your host, Eric Hurst, and today we're looking back at 2010 through the eyes of the gamer. And what a year for games it was. Today I'm counting down my top 5 games of the year, so sit back and let the nostalgia kick in. I got a little pre-countdown warning though. These are only the games I've played this year, so games I haven't gotten around to yet, like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and Call of Duty Black Ops, have been left off my list. Another little surprising factoid is that all the games turned out to be sequels, so it looks like gaming gets it right where movies tend to get it wrong. Alright, let's jump into this list starting where else but number 5. I know I bashed the Wii last week, but something Nintendo has always done right are its first-party games. This year, the plumber made a quick return to the Wii in Super Mario Galaxy 2, my number 5 game of the year. This game gets it right where it counts. Balance. The motion controls are used sparingly, and when they are, they really fit into what's happening on the screen. It has the right mix of fun and challenge that make a truly great Mario game great. And in the end, it's just a lot of fun to play. It's a lot like its predecessor, but that's not a bad thing at all because Super Mario Galaxy was also a great game. The sequel refines the play of the first and builds on that sense of wonder that made the first one a happy return to the true Mario experience. Super Mario Galaxy 2, my number 5 game of the year. Gamers had been waiting 12 years for this next sequel. That's the price you pay for feverishly waiting for a Blizzard title, but like I say, they always turn out to be well worth the wait. StarCraft 2 is my number 4 game of the year. I've always liked the way Blizzard weaves you through a single-player campaign in its strategy games, so when I found out that this one would be taking a departure from that and using a more open mission structure, I was a bit skeptical. And then I began to play it and realized this is Blizzard we're talking about. On top of the fresh single-player experience, the missions themselves were an absolute treat. Each and every single one had its own little element that made it different from the rest. No longer were you just starting each mission with a small base, building it up, then destroying the enemy base. Each mission's objectives required you to approach it in a different way, and made the solo StarCraft 2 experience, in my opinion, the best of any strategy game. Now this is where I would usually dive into the multiplayer, but for lack of a better term, I suck at it. Just know that lots of people love it, and it's a whole other game when you hop online. StarCraft 2, my number 4 game of the year. Number 3 is the reason I bought a PlayStation 3 this year. Also fitting, it's the third in its series. So number 3 is the trifecta of 3s, God of War 3. I would hope there's no doubt in anyone's mind that this is the best game in the God of War series. Both prequels were games that had amazing opening and closing sequences with a very solid action game in the middle. God of War 3 starts with what might be the best opening sequence in any game and carries that momentum throughout its entirety as you slay God after God after God. The graphics are some of the best of the year and the gameplay stays as solid as ever. You know a game is great when you finish it and feel the need to start it all over again that very second. Like every game on my list, it's just a lot of fun to sit down and play. God of War 3, my number 3 game of the year. Blizzard must be doing something right to make my list twice. There may not be much nostalgia in this next title as many of you are probably still on your quest to level 85. World of Warcraft Cataclysm is my number 2 game of the year. WoW has been going strong for 6 years, but in all of its years, Blizzard has never done anything as ambitious as this. On top of the 10 new zones, Blizzard redesigned all of the old world zones. The path from 1 to 85 has changed forever, and really it's for the best. Questing through zones is now easier and really just a lot more fun. Most of the running to town, picking up 10 quests, finishing them all and running back is gone. All zones now try to weave you through more linearly, which cuts down on travel time significantly. Also, dynamically changing zones, first featured in Wrath of the Lich King, allow you to feel like you actually have an effect on the world around you. Now it's true you don't need to purchase Cataclysm to enjoy a ton of what's changed in WoW, but Cataclysm was really the driving force for these changes, so I'm lopping them all together. With so much new stuff to do and see, as well as the changes made to talents and classes, it's easy to see that even after 6 years, WoW isn't going anywhere anytime soon. World of Warcraft Cataclysm, my number 2 game of the year. And here we are, all the way to number 1. Are you on the edge of your seat yet? I knew this game was going to top my list when I got halfway through it, and that was back in January. I knew 12 months ago that no other game would come close to ousting this one as game of the year. In fact, this title easily makes my top 3 games of all time. Mass Effect 2 is my number 1 game of the year. Where to start? BioWare really outdid themselves on this one, and that's saying a lot. I'm used to BioWare putting out great games every year. Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, all great and memorable games, probably a top 5 game of the year each respective year, but they were all missing a little something that put them over the top. In the end, I think it came down to gameplay. Mass Effect 2 plays a lot differently from Mass Effect. At first it takes some getting used to, especially if you're jumping right in from Mass Effect, but once you get a hold of things, combat becomes an absolute blast to play through. Then you add to that all the BioWare staples, an epic and well-written story, memorable characters who are tremendously well voice acted, and a level of polish only topped by Blizzard. And the way they work in your choices made in the first game really put the icing on the cake. It's a real treat to see all your old friends and enemies again. This game is definitely worth upgrading your PC or buying an Xbox 360 for, but PS3 owners, you are in luck. BioWare has recently announced that Mass Effect 2 will be released for PS3 in January, so now you have no excuse not to play my #1 game of the year, unless you only own a Wii, which in that case is your own fault. Mass Effect 2, my #1 game of the year. So there you have it, my top 5 games of the year. I'm very interested in hearing your own top 5 or top game this year, so please send me some tweets so we can get a real discussion going, and perhaps I can add a few of your suggestions to my must playlist. Our website is up, so check out yourbrainontech.com for past and present episodes. You can also follow the show at twitter.com/yourbrainontech for our latest updates. You can also follow me at twitter.com/Eric Hurst. We're taking a week off for the holidays, so remember, no new show next week. After that, we'll have a special YBOT blooper show for you, followed by our on-site coverage of CES 2011 from Las Vegas. Here's hoping you have a happy holiday and a safe new year. I'll see you in 2011. I was so happy with how that first one came out. I was like, I don't want to ruin it with this next one. Also, dynamically. Oh, that's the word. Dynamically. But Cataclysm was really That's it. That's the story. We're out of here. First feastered. Really well. Also, dynamically changing zones gives something.